We're going high tech. On Jersey T100 we've got laser beams. So on the roof, just right in the corners of the outside of the sunroof, I've got two sockets with tape on with the same measurements, where the laser, I don't know if you're about to see it, is just about there. That's from, I've been jacking up the car on axle stands and like shimming it up to get the roof level. I need something to work from. This isn't scientific, it's just being practical and trying to get the car straighter. So what I did then was I measured from the chassis leg, the top of the chassis leg, up, and we got 778 millimeters there. And on this side, we've got 725. So we're 53 millimeters higher this side than we are that side. So now I've got to think about how to get that lower. I'm not worrying about distance forward yet. I think when it hit, it went up. We'll see what happens. We'll see about getting it level with the other side and see where we are then. Who knows what's going to happen, but I've chained that to the floor. I've got 80mm screws holding that hinge plate down with the carabiner thing welded to it. I don't know how much pressure I'm going to have to put on this, and the back is just resting on the floor on its wheels. I've got the jack under the jacking point, so I'm going to start jacking and I'll be able to have a look and see what distance we get onto the level line from the front legs, see if we get any movement on it at all. I'll jack a little bit and we'll go from there. First attempt, didn't really get any pressure on it, and it's just pulled the screws out the floor, which yeah, I might have to get some raw anchors or something. I'll put some fatter screws in and see if that helps. That didn't really seem to work. It was not surprising really, it was red plugs and short screws. So we're going a bit more industrial with a Fisher anchor bolt. So the idea is the more you tighten it and the more force you put on it, the more it expands and the more it grips. So we'll try two of these. I'll have to re-drill the holes in here, but we'll give that a go and see how that fares. I've re-drilled the holes in the plate. I've got a feeling this plate's not thick enough now if the raw anchors hold. So I'm going to stick these in the holes. It's just a quick one to see if it's going to be strong enough, because I'm working at the moment. So if they're not, I'm going to have to pick up some bits while I'm out and about. I'll give it a go and see. Yeah, they didn't really work. They seem to come apart as they went in. I don't know if it's because, I don't know. So we're going for the Thunderbolt, which is a bolt that grips to concrete and granite, and I've used them before and I was very surprised how strong they are. So we'll give these a go now. Third time lucky. Yeah, I must have hit a rebar or something, because there's concrete under this floor and I just couldn't drill down any deeper with that. Unfortunately, the first attempt, when the screws pulled out, they pulled a bit of cement out under the floor. That's what's a bit uneven. Right, we'll start jacking it up and seeing if these can survive whatever pressure is going to go on them. Oh, so far so good. I'm guessing the car's going up. I think if the back wheels lift up, we've got a few problems. drop it down and see if we've got any movement on it. There's quite a bit of tension in that, and I'm getting a bit frightened. Right, the bolts are holding surprisingly well. I've been jacking it up. Unfortunately, the rear wheel is starting to lift off the ground. But interestingly enough, there was no gap at the top before, and now it's starting to get a gap. So I think what I'm going to do is put a little bit more pressure onto the jack. I mean, that is scary. So I sort of turn away and keep as far away from it as I can while I jack it up. I'll put a bit more pressure on it and just leave it for a bit. It had actually, I dropped it down and measured it after the first trial bit, and it had gone down 5 mil. We have to go down 50 mil. So I'll end up having to strap the back down, I think, if we're going to continue this way. But what I'll do is I'll jack it up a bit more and just leave it and see if that moves, and then carry on from there, I suppose. What I've done is I've dropped the jack as low as it will go to get the front of the car as low as possible, to chain it down lower and then jack it up. So we've, funny enough, I'm surprised as well, it's I've just dropped it down now. There's no, well, there's a bit of tension, but it's dropped 20 mil. Yeah, it seems to be moving the car to the sort of shape I want it to be, but the back wheel is lifting off the ground, so I'm gonna have to make another bracket and bolt the rear beam down. I don't think it'll have as much tension as the front, but I've just noticed, and that is under a lot of tension, so I've got to pull that off. I think what I'll do now is cut some links up and weld them to the bracket and see if that works. It's scary stuff, this. I think I'll put something in front of it while I'm jacking it up, because looking at that could have been nasty. Alright, this is the next one I've made up, just with scrap bits of steel. That's the original one adapted, with the other end cut off. I found a more suitable drill bit, which is the smaller one. That's the one I used to get out the front, but that was not a problem because I could drill straight down. Whereas I've got to get under the back of the car now to get the rear beam. I'll probably ratchet strap it down. I don't know how much pressure is going to be on these, but I'll have to put something in front of it just in case it does let go. Let's see how I get on. Right, it's making funny noises on its own now. I've got a lot of tension in there. That's my anti-take your leg off blanket. I don't know how effective it will be. I am really scared of it. Right, that's holding tight. It's got quite a bit of tension in it. The back is just ratchet strapped down. There's not so much pressure going on the back. But this looks like it's come back to as it was. It seems to be going in the right direction. I have to measure it and see how much it's moved, but I'm going to leave it with tension on for now. It definitely looks better. I'd hate to go too far, because then I'd have issues. Always drive it back into a bank slowly. So I'm going to leave that for a couple of hours and then drop it on the floor and measure how much everything's moved and see it. I'm presuming it's moved, unless that just springs back out when I take the pressure off again. But it has been making some creaking and cracking noises, so I'm guessing it's all moving. That's so much better than it was. And also, the panel gap is much, well, it didn't have one before. It still looks like it's got a bit further to go. It's still making creaking noises. Right, I'm getting out of the garage. Let it creak on its own. I've just dropped it all down onto the floor again and got the roof level. Unfortunately, if I move my foot on the floor, the wooden flooring is moving about now because of the drilling I've done. But yeah, the roof is level. I've just measured off here. We were 50mm higher on this side before, and now we're 10mm higher, so it's moved 40mm. And this was all creased and buckled and split and all sorts, and it's starting to look a bit more presentable now. There's a little bit there. It's back on the floor, and it has got a panel gap, whereas it didn't have one before. And oops, put my finger over the lens. And yeah, now it's working, opening and closing fine. So this, I don't know if you're about to see it, it's a bit dark. Yeah, the bolts to the floor with the link is holding the back fine. So I just need to go a little bit further now to get that final 10mm. Yeah, very pleased so far. I put the dust sheet over the chain because when it's got tension in it, it really pulls. That link, I don't know how much pressure's going in it, but a lot. So I'm quite, yeah, I'm quite pleased the welding's holding on. It's a good test for making sure it's got good strength in it. Right, I'll jack it up a bit more. Right, that's it, back on the floor now. It's resting on the jack. I've just rested it down so I could level the roof from just in front of the sunroof again, so I know that the car is actually level. I've got the rear wheels back on, so that's sitting on the floor. I've undone all the chain, got rid of the bolts and everything. I've measured the front, and yeah, had a bit of an issue because I don't know if you can see that, but that is bent from about here forward, obviously pulling on this. I'm surprised that survived actually, because there's quite a bit of pressure being on that, but it is bent from about here forward. It's pulled it down, which I'm not too worried about. I can do something with that. I can sort that out. But measuring from this point here, I can't see my finger there, this point here, on both sides, we have got this side here was 50mm higher, it's now 2mm higher. So I'm calling that a win. The front, this bit, on top of the inner wing, I'm guessing this bit needs to be straight. You can see where this part used to be aligned with this part. So I'm thinking this bit needs to go that way to pull that out, which would explain why we've got a few creases here where it's sort of concertinaed a little bit. And I don't know if that's different to my other one. So this is all, this is just to hold bits on. So as long as the important bits are the bits that affect the steering and the geometry and the wheels and all that, this bit I'm not bothered about this being bent. I could cut that off and not use it or weld it on, but I'm sure I'll be able to strengthen that somehow, or straighten it if I can get this out. Might be a bit of an issue. So that used to be telescopic. I don't know if it still is. Or is that the e30s? It might be there telescopic. So what I might do is get a solid point over here and put a porta power in up to this point here, just to ease it over slightly. I'll take measurements, I'll see when this gets straight, and then we can measure up and see what's what. This bit here, I mean, this was quite bad before. It was all kinked up, this was all kinked, and that's pretty straight. There's still a bit of a dent there, but I'm not sure how this car's been crashed quite a few times. Last time it crashed, it had inner wings, not new ones because you can't get new ones, so it had replacement bits and pieces on it to straighten it all up again. Now it's all resting on the road, I have got a panel gap, and that's brilliant, that is. And door opens and closes like a Rolls Royce. So I think we're winning, and I think that's it straight. Well, 2 mil out, but you know, I'm measuring with a laser level off a car that's jacked up and measuring from the sunroof to make sure that the car is level to start with. So my theory is, as long as the roof's level, whatever I can get this to parallel is good. But you know, my laser level on the roof with a tape measure isn't the most accurate way of doing it. But what is? I'm sure you could get a new car in here and measure different things and come up with different results. I need to level. I think this needs to go up as well here, by the looks of it. But that's cosmetic. I'm not too worried about that. I think we're where we need to be for the door. I can put a wing on. Yeah, I'm chuffed. I'll straighten this bit up. I'm gonna call that a win. Well, I'll know more when I've got the bonnet and the wings on, but going by my measurements, straightening that's not an issue, pushing that over is not an issue. I was worried about pulling the bit out of the, pulling the front bit straight. Now, fair play to that. That's a bit of link holding it all together, because there was some pressure on that. I was quite frightened. The more you jack it up, everything was creaking and groaning and banging and moving, and you know, having to strap the back down. And yeah, I'm quite pleased with the welding. I did a couple of welding courses, and my instructor said my welds were very good but just look crap. He said, as opposed to other people there that had very good looking welds that were crap. So I think I was quite happy with my way, and they've been tested, and they've been crack tested, dyed, x-rayed and all that. So yeah, because you couldn't pass the course unless you had the decent welds. So I'm quite happy with my welding, but you know, it could always be better. It's like anything. But that was a good test for it there. Right, let's see if we can get this a little bit straighter. The porta power's out. I've just put hardly any pressure, just going into the inner wing top, and it's sort of straightening it up. It's going to need a bit of flattening with the hammer and the dolly afterwards. I've put the jack under this bit. I don't think it's going to do anything. I think I'll have to put a chain or something around this point, because it's just from here, you can see where the point is. It's this bit that's bent. So I'll leave it with a bit of weight on and see. Jack up a bit more. You know, these bits I can straighten out. This side looks fine. There's still a few creases and creaks. It looks like this bit needs to go that way a little bit, but this needs to come forward. It's a bit crushed, this. So if I can see if I can get behind it with something from the other side and knock it so it pulls, I can flatten this out to make it straight. If you look at the other one's quite straight and vertical, whereas this is a bit on the slant. Yeah, I should be able to get something through those holes and give it a tap. I can't do it now because it's getting to that time where people are at home and they don't want banging going along. And then I've got to go in the attic and get myself one of my wings. I've got one in the garden. I'll get one from the garden. I might do that now actually, stick it on and see how it looks. I thought I'd try it with the bonnet on. You've got a bigger gap at one end than the other. I'm not fussed. It's not a show car. It's going to get hit again. Well, hopefully not, but there's a good chance it will. The front needs to come out about 10 mil. So I'm going to try the porta power on it. This is a wing from the attic. I thought I'd done in the garden, but it's handy. Handy, I got one anyway. Yeah, I'll see if I can push this side out 10 mil and then try the bonnet again. Yeah, I didn't really need to bend anything. I just undid the screw. It was lined up with a screw up here, and there was a hole that was too far over this way down here, which I hadn't used. So I've put the screw in there. So it just means the middle bit's going to be slightly out. But I know the bonnet doesn't look like it's fitting right, but when it's at the right level and jiggled about a bit, I think that will work out well. I'm quite pleased about that. And also, I found a bumper, which is an M3 bumper in the attic, which is just as well, because I think that one's had it. So I've got the lip off the front panel, which is what I need, so I can put that on. I've got all the lights and everything, so I'm going to try and get it back together again and then see how it looks. Fingers crossed it'll all look like it should do. I use the porta power. I put a piece of steel just under here and push from the chassis leg. It didn't need any effort, it was just moved it all over so all the holes line up. I don't know what's happened to the little clip that goes in there. But that will do for that. So I'm going to put the bonnet on with the fixings so it's in the right place. I was wondering why the bonnet wouldn't go down. So I took all the brackets off that it aligns with. Turns out it's hitting that. Not ideal. Yeah, you can see where it's been hitting. I could cut that area out. It's sticking up about half an inch, 10 mil. Just doesn't look very nice. So I might just whip that bit out. Only needs to go, even if I just take it around. I'll do that. Right, we're not doing too bad now. Well, I say we, me. I think if you're a panel beater and sprayer, you'd be quite mortified with what I've done. The whole bonnet could do with going back slightly, but it's a, it's a rally car. I'm not going over the top. But everything seems to be, I think that's acceptable for me. Maybe I could push it all back a bit. This door needs a bit of work. I haven't tried it to see if it opens yet. Against the wing. Oh yeah. That's fine. Both the catches are on at the back, which is quite handy. Right, that's it, done. And I'm going to call that looking straight. I'll have to get it out of the garage and have a better look. Yeah, this light was in two bits from the crash. I've done the bottom half. I'm just about to stick this together. You've got these little clips that it's like a soldering gun. Gets really hot, glues them together. I'm not going to be able to do it with one end. I'll put a few in and you can see what it's like. Right, that's two in. I'll put the third one in, so I can do that one-handed. Pull the trigger. Gets really hot, melts its way in. Let it cool down for a couple of seconds. and then just with the snips, cut the ends off. I've got all of them because they'll end up flying across the kitchen otherwise. We're there. I've put it all back together again. I've got the bumper from the attic. I didn't realise I bought it for the other car. I was going to put it on, but I didn't really like it didn't really suit it. But it's the only bumper I've got, so it's going on this one. It's the M3 bumper. I brought that from BMW Drift and Body Kits, I think it's called. Guy's a really nice guy. I've just ordered some more bits from him actually. He does wings, bonnets, everything, and it's very reasonable compared to the other price you pay. And it's very good quality as well. I like it. Yeah, I'm chuffed to bits. I mean, you know, some people would be quite upset with a panel gap like that, and they'd probably put a bit more effort and move the bonnet back slightly. But I'm going to take the bonnet off because I'm going to put that engine, I think, in it. I have got a choice of 3 engines at the moment. I've got a 323, which is a single cam out of the car that's in the garden. I've got the M44, and I've got a e30 328i, and one of them is a sump off a 5 Series that will fit it, so it'll allow it to go into this car. But I'm just chuffed to bits that I can move all this stuff out of the way because I've got no space, and there's even less with all this going on. So that's that job finished. I'm pleased. I don't know, I haven't pulled it out to see what it looks like, but going by the measurements, it shouldn't be too bad. So you can do it in a small garage. I was waiting to go on a jig, but there's a big queue because there's been a lot of accidents with the rally cars. The guy's really good. He does all the rally cars, and he does them in his own time. He doesn't charge a great deal. He's a nice guy, but we've got an event, or not an event, a bars test, which I've said I'm supplying the car for people to use, take their bars test locally. So I need to get this up and running. So now that's done, I can get the engine in, sort the wiring out, and then move on from there. Hope you've enjoyed this. I've enjoyed doing it. It hasn't taken too long. I'd say, you know, a couple of weekends and that'd be done. It was a bit scary with the chain, but it's been worth it. Well, you know, I probably should have put a piece of ply over it or something and made a bit more of a barrier between myself and the chain, just in case it did go. But I hope you enjoyed this. Thanks for watching.